All right, I'm going to go through a briefing and a demo here of DCS Liberation Campaign, which I think we're going to use for some bi-weekly missions. Should be fairly easy to maintain, and I'm looking like maybe Chef and any of the leaders. Chef's day schedule looks pretty locked into either Sunday or Monday at 2200. So he may not actually be able to participate in the flights. We'll see. But I'm thinking about Monday night missions or something like that. Start them at 2200 and work them out to various strike times from 2200 to about 1. Um, but we'll see. We'll talk about it, see what we can get going here. But yeah, so let's get started. DCS Liberations actually can be used for single or multiplayer. So if you want something to do at home and you're not wanting to fly with others, you can always do your own campaigns and manage your own kind of like ground war. Certainly fun. It'll do AI, and we'll get into all of that, but it's pretty versatile. But I'm going to go through the basics of setting it up and then setting up a few things to maybe how we could schedule each of the mission nights with various targets and things like that. So first thing you're going to do is we're going to create a new mission, and it'll bring up this wizard to generate the mission. So we go to next, and there's several different types of campaigns that we can do. Um, that we can do, and make sure my cameras are all working. Okay, good. So there's several different types of missions that we can do. We've got the caucus around the mountain, Black Sea. It gives you some descriptions about, what the campaign is about. There's the caucus full, it's very heavy, so you're going to want to restrict units based on where you're going to be operating so that it doesn't try to generate everything in the map. We'll get to more of that later in the later setup. There's various different scenarios that you can go through. I'm not going to go through them all right now. You can always look through them. We'll probably end up doing Persian Gulf just for a change of scenery, and then there's several different. I like this. The road to Dubai is pretty good, and the scenic route is actually pretty fun. Um, there's that. There's a bunch for the Syria map, and there's one for the Channel as well. Um, um, Looks like maybe we can make our own campaigns too. I'd have to go and look at his setup and how easy it is for us to create our own campaigns. There's also a couple for Nevada um, and one for Normandy map. Anyway, so really cool. So I like the scenic route. It's a pretty low performance impact, and I think really good for a multiplayer situation like us. So that's the one I'm going to select. I've looked at a couple of them; they're all pretty interesting. Um, we are going to use. Um, we want full weaponry, so we're going to use modern fall of 2010. And then, you know, if we wanted to, we could change seasons to get different types of weather. It does generate different weather, so that's something to be aware of, that we may actually have to do flights in various weather and potentially cancel those flights if the weather is too aggressive or move a turn ahead to find better weather. So, and we'll get into that more. That's up in this corner here. We'll talk about that once we get to mission planning. Um, so I'm just going to keep going. Invert the map. We'll flip the map around. I don't know exactly why you'd want to do that. They're oriented the right way, but you can do that. You could also pick specific dates. You can turn off preset and start at different dates, but I'll just use the default. And we're going to go next. This is the various forces that are available. We're Max 2005. We're going to use Iran 2015, and these are the birds that are available to our enemy. And they buy a lot of F-14s. So yeah, air defenses that are available, and threat vehicles, frontline vehicles. Okay, you can use um, the module that allows you to do ground vehicles. Always forget what it's called. Anyway, so that's that. You can change this to various different custom settings. I'm assuming there's probably a way you can edit the file and make your own as well. How to create your own faction down here on the bottom if we wanted to change things up a little bit. So then we're just going to keep that. Okay. We want aircraft carriers, so we want to use the super carrier module. We could have no enemy navy, but we want enemy navy desired mission. So I think the mission time is going to be about 60 minutes. We can play around with this as if we spread out different mission times. So we'll take a look at that in planning and in people's availability. It might be good to have like a seed team go out, take out some seed, and then shortly thereafter have a strike team hit roughly at the same time that the seed team does. Maybe get a cap out first, and they go, secure the airspace first, leading into the target, or we all go up at once. There's all those different options. So and I'll show you that. You can actually set the time when each flight is designated to leave, so including AI flights. So we can also have AI screens and things like that, but we'll get into that. Some additional modules that you can use here if you want to, like the C-130. But we're not going to use any of those for our mission nights, I don't think. So we'll go next. The player multiplier, so the more money you have, kind of the easier it's going to get because you can buy additional things. A little unrealistic because we wouldn't really be dealing with money. We'd just be dealing with, maybe budgets and things. But it keeps things balanced and keeps us honest as far as plane deaths and things. So we're going to go ahead and just leave it the way it is. And we'll leave, we could start with a little bit more money if we wanted to make it easier for ourselves, but I'm just going to do the default for now. We can also get to the point where we have to schedule the runway repairs, all that kind of stuff, frontline purchases and aircraft purchases. So I think in this case, we're going to let the AI take care of the runway repairs and the frontline purchases, and we're going to take care of all the air-to-air stuff. So we're going to leave it that way, and we're going to hit next. And see it's finished generating, and we're going to hit finished. Boom. It has now created the campaign map and all of the enemy and our assets. So as you can see down here, we have the Tarawa, we have the Bellawood and the Truman, as well as the not the Truman, but the Taroba and the Truman. So it's Corrigie is the call sign, and then Harry Truman, and then we have the Bellawood, which is the Tarawa. It's a Tarawa class ship, and then we have some basic FARPs set up. This is our FOB. This is our forward operating. We do not have this airfield. And I'm not exactly sure how to take the airfield yet. I think maybe if we land on it and put aircraft there, it could give it to us. So I'm going to try that as I do the test message. I'm going to just maybe let the AI do its thing and land over here and see if by landing here it takes the airbase for us. Right now it's a neutral airbase. I think the way he wrote the mission, we actually have to make it up to, where is it? I think we have to make it all the way up to, where's that next airfield? I always forget. I think there's an airfield all the way somewhere along here that we can take. I just don't remember where it is. It's probably right. That's just a fob. Can't remember where it is. It's either also a forward operating base. They may have to get all the way up here to this airport in order to claim some space, or one of the, because it looks like some of the ones on the islands too are disabled, but we'll see. I'll have to check the map. And I think, maybe if you put units there, you can actually take over the map, but I don't remember if it has to be ground units or not, so I'll have to play around with that. But anyway, so this is our base. We want to keep that protected. This yellow line represents the front line, so every mission, wherever this line is, there is going to be ground combat going on between the red and the blue side. And we can set close air support missions and things like that wherever the front lines is to help take out the red units so that this line can be pushed up. Okay. Every time we take out the enemy, a lot of the enemy forces, they're going to have to retreat, and the blue forces can move up, and vice versa. If they wipe out the blue forces, then this line's going to shift in this way. Right now we are outnumbered, so having priority on cast missions to the front line will certainly help our progress forward. Now, while we're doing that, we may want to send, like, say, the Harriers up here to do some close air support, a cap unit to keep them protected, and then maybe a few of the F-18s come in and start taking out some of the air-to-air and radar things here in order to push these guys out of this area, so that once this line starts getting closer, our units can take this area over and move forward. But again, that's a long way down the road, and definitely up to the CAGs as far as how the DCAG and the CAG on how we're going to progress through that. But it's all plannable, and I'll get to that in just a minute. So first round, if you go to, say, the Truman, and it doesn't have any planes. You can see it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. There's nothing to transfer. Same thing with the Tarawa, the Bellawood. You can see it has no units. So, and the same goes here. There's very few ground units, and you'll see more up here. There's an ammunition depot. You got some Abrams here on the ground protecting. And so there just isn't any. So we have to buy planes. And so the first couple things I do is I always go out to these guys and not those guys, sorry, Tarawa, and I'm going to go ahead and load it up with you can see ships that can hold things will actually come up with an option to buy. So in this case, we're going to get 8 Harriers. We're going to get a Seahawk, a couple Seahawks. Don't technically need the Super Cobra, so I'm going to leave those out for now, and I'm going to go just a couple more Harriers. We'll go 12. Now, well, just to show it, eventually what's going to have, there's no parking spaces left, okay? So let's go with 12 to let's go with by division. So we got 1 division, 2 divisions, 3 divisions. Let's go with 3 divisions for now, because we don't have a lot of Harrier pilots, but we do have those guys that might join us on this, so we'll put those in there. We always buy more. Every turn we get a little bit of money. So let's start there. We can then go over here. Now you'll notice our money's already down quite a bit. It will go down because the AI should have bought ground units. We'll see. Anyway, so we'll come in here. We definitely need a couple Hawkeyes. We need a couple of tankers. I would say 3 of each. Let me just do 2 for now. Tomcats. So I want to do 1 division, 1 division, 1 division. So 8. So now 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we don't need carriers. I don't want to put harriers on here. We've got a couple of tankers. Now you can see we're out of space. And the reason why I did 2 divisions to 1 division on the Tomcat is because, well, we have 2 squadrons of 18s and we have 1 squadron of Tomcats. So basically the 25th would have 12 planes and the 143rd would have 12 planes, and then the Tomcats have a total of 18 planes. They probably will end up being at pretty high risk, low risk, so we may not need to buy more going forward, but we'll see. We can always change this up if you guys have better ideas, but that's kind of what I do from default. And we say, okay, so now we've got everything we need for our missions. So we're going to just pass the turn. And now what's going to happen is you'll see we're pretty low on money. The AI went ahead and bought all of what it needed to protect itself and what it needed for the frontline assets. So if we click on the front line, you don't see anything because the AI is managing it, but they do have to pay for their items. So now you can see that the ship is, they've got all these different missions going here, right? You've got the what is that? That's the Hawkeye flying around. You've got the refueling tanker flying around, and it's that. And if we don't like the path that these are taking, so for example, this guy's orbiting right above our aircraft carrier. Not sure with the radar tower and that doesn't really help us too much. So what I want to do is I want to take that orbit, and we're going to put it up just a little bit closer to the front lines. Okay. Just because, oops, now that was the other thing. So we can actually dictate which direction, this carrier's moving. So we're going to just move him that way. Same thing with these guys. That just means throughout the mission he's going to work his way north. And I thought we could move these two, but it's not letting me, so I'll worry about that later. You can always go into, if we move the carrier group up in the mission editor, we can always just go in and pull them up if we need, because I can move this guy, but I can't move the other ships. Can probably move the Tarawa as well, or the Bella. Yeah, I'll move it up a little bit too. Okay, and now here's the thing. So it pre-generates all these missions. So now you've got this, the first bar cap, and established around the carrier group. Got another one established around the carrier group. You got a cap set around the airspace there of kind of the operational area. Okay, you can go through it. You can see there's some close air support. If we were to look at that, it's a Harrier and a Tomcat. And we've got, then they had a bunch of aggressive attacks into, and those are usually Harriers and 18s for air cover or combination. It just kind of randomly set stuff, so I don't particularly like the way it does the missions. There's some anti-ship, so it's actually got a Seahawk going out and an 18 to go take out this boat up here. Same thing with the out here, and the got a Huey going out to take out. So I don't particularly like the way it does missions. So what I usually do is I clear them all out. Okay, and then I go through, and you can see we have planes here now. So what I do is I usually just wherever the primary source of the mission is. So in this case, I'm going to right click over the fob area, and I'm going to put a bar cap, not a bar cap, sorry, we're going to switch this to the Truman. Heck, what am I forgetting? We want from the we don't. There we go. I don't know what was going on there, but we want get our AWAC up in the air. Okay. You don't want it player controlled. Cold start, and we're going to call this we can call it whatever we want. Actually, I think that's technically wizard for us. Okay. And it's gonna take off at 6 minutes, and oops. So I want to edit that. I actually want it to start not cold. It says any option other than cold will make the flight non-targetable by aircraft missions. This will affect game balance. Oh, so we don't want to do that. So what we have to do also is make sure that those, I usually go in and when I'll show you when we get there, but because they'll end up being blocked by other aircraft, and so their takeoff times will get delayed considerably. So I'll typically take them and then place them on the manually place them on ones because it'll generate some stuff. But anyway, so you can control a lot of that by time. So what we're going to do is mission time. We're going to set this guy up in the air and click save. And we can then move on. So that's one. So what I want to do is I want to set his orbit up. He takes off, and we're going to have him orbit there. Okay. Close enough that he's getting a good view down here, but not so close that he's in any real danger. The ship should be able to protect him in that space. We could always move it out even potentially over here, but then we have to send somebody to protect him as well. So we're just going to keep him within the carrier airspace. For now, again, during actual mission planning, we can figure all this out. So now that we got that, we're going to want to add another group. And we're going to say add flight. And this time we're going to want the refueling flight. And we're going to add the tanker, Golden Bunny. It randomly generates those. I was going to look in the back end to see if there's a way for us to change those squadron names, but for now we'll just have to live with what it creates and use the flight name to designate whatever the thing is. So in this case it's going to be Texaco. And now it's got this weird flight path. So what I typically do is we know our planes should be returning from mission up in this area. So I am going to take that that particular mission. Oh, you know what? I'm going to fix this real quick. We're going to give it its own. Can I back out? Okay, so let's try that again. We're going to add a flight. We're going to add AWACS. Call it wizard. Create and save, and then we're going to change its orbit to here, and then we're going to be done with that. Then we're going to go here. We're going to add another flight, and this time we're going to do a refueling. There's only one of those cold, and we're going to call that Texaco. Texaco. Create, save, and now you can see the racetrack start and racetrack end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this out probably like a start right here and then there, kind of paralleling the air group, so that as we're coming back, if we need fuel or if we're in combat and need to get fuel, it's fairly close, but not really in danger. And it's close by these other things if they need to refuel while they're landing. So we can always put more than one up in the air if we really wanted to. If we had a long mission up into this area, once we get this place cleared out, we could have one closer to home for the carrier group, and then one up, an AWACS and a thing up here in this area, as long as we have a cap obviously protecting them. So we'll just see how things go. But I'm trying to keep this simple as far as moving forward. So you can see this guy is taking off at 14 minutes to be on station here. And so if we go in, just make sure that's 14 minutes, but it's as soon as possible. So it's going to basically start its engines and get up in the air as soon as it can, and then start that racetrack mode. Same with this guy. I can make it on station sooner, apparently, probably because of the elevation. This is at 12,000 feet. This is at 30,000 feet, so it's got a slower climb up to its station. So there's that. And so the first thing I think we want to do is establish a cap. And so we're going to and you can actually target which one you want it to protect. So if we want to keep a group of F-14s, let's put some AI F-14s around this area. We're going to take a couple of Tomcats, and we'll leave them AI. And we're going to go ahead and create a bar cap. It's weird that you can set them to refueling. Maybe they have a refueling module now. Anyway, you can bar cap them, and then and we're going to call them, I don't know, Hound or Victory. So I don't know. I don't want to call them Victory Flight, so we're just going to call them Hound Flight. Something that related to Victory, like we'll just call them Hammer or Shield. Okay, so you got two F-14s. Now we could assign players to those if we wanted to. In this case, we're not going to. You can just put their payload. They're loaded pretty well. Waypoints. Usually sets them up pretty good for bar cap. Kind of gets them a racetrack going, and then gets a landing point. So what I do is I usually just leave it. I like that they're taking off right away. So that's hopefully it'll get them out of the way so that the Seahawks will get out of the way. So then we say save. So our bar cap is set up. I think that's probably a decent thing. They're going to be kind of paralleling the. They probably don't need to be right over. So let's take this racetrack and let's move them a little like that. Their job is to protect the carrier group. Okay. So now you can see what they're patrolling. They'll catch any stragglers that the main cap for this area does not. So that's what we're going to set next. Is we're going to create some air cover from here to the very kind of tip of this, like this space here, because we're going to send some 18s in here to take some stuff out, probably the EWR, wherever it is, and then we're going to send the Harriers in to do some casts as well as maybe Dog in to do some casts there, but we'll see. I think what it'll be is Harriers in here, and then for this mission, because we're just playing, so just kind of showing you how it works. So the next group, we're going to add another cap. So we don't want that. We want to right click on here, and we're going to say add. We're going to create another a tar cap instead, and so we're going to do 18s. We're going to make this a player-based cap, and obviously we don't have names here. I wish we did. Again, I want to look into some of that, and they're going to start cold, and this is going to be victory. Victory. Okay. Now, again, why would you do a side-to-side racetrack? Because then your radar's pointing this way, right? So sometimes the AI doesn't make the greatest decisions. The only time you're going to get your radar downfield is when you're turning around one way or the other. So what I did is we're going to take the F-18, or I'm sorry, the end of the racetrack here, and the start here, and we want to stay out of there we go. This allows us to cover this corridor with this one, which is then these guys are also covering this corridor. So they're kind of overlapped a little bit, but these guys are faced downrange, and probably a much shorter turn, because that's about 10 miles there, 50 kilometers, so 30 miles. So we don't want that. We want about a 20 mile. So they're going to, just to keep them down fast. Now we could throw 2 more up there if we had additional players. So if we decided all of a sudden we had 2 people come in, or 4 people come in for the F-18s, you could come in here, double click on it, and then say, hey, let's add a couple of aircraft, add a couple of slots, and now we have 4 F-18s providing cap. But they're player F-18s. So in this case, because I don't have any players to play F-18 or F-14s, I'm going to go ahead and make them all AI, so that they take off and get off the deck as quickly as possible. So that's kind of the last of the caps are off the deck at 13:59 is when they're on station. So they're gonna get off the deck sometime around 5-6 minutes. And so what we want to try to do is prevent the F-18s from blocking the various things. So we can start getting a little more smart. So now what we're going to do is, first things first, I want to get, we could as a group let the AI decide to do this stuff, and the close air support at the front lines. I think probably what we'd end up doing though is sending our smart player Harriers here to wreak as much havoc on their front line as we can, so that this keeps moving up. In the meantime, we'll send a seed group in and maybe 1 strike group to start taking out the assets. So let's look at what they have for assets. Let's start with the Harriers. So we're going to go add flight. And you don't have to decide this right away. You just have to decide whether there's going to be players before you actually take off. So in this case, we're going to do close air support. We're going to switch to... what happened? Did it not get its... Okay. And then... Weird. Okay, so we're going to do this. Oops. We're going to add a flight, and we're going to add Harriers. Oh, there it switched. So there's a few bugs where, like, if you don't switch the planes first, then you can't select the thing. But that, you can work around that. These guys are going to do close air support, and they're the green flamingos. Um, I'm not going to make these players, but normally we would. So we're going to let the AI go, and we're going to send in all four. We're going to send in a division to help that front line, and we're going to call them Hammer. And I mean, that's a 20, 30. How far is that? That's about a 10. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 mile. That's almost a 30-mile egress. So I think what we do is take it in a little closer. There's no reason for them to be that far out. And 20,000 over that hill. Get it a little closer. And, of course, if these are human players, we're going to be egressing in and out in various different directions. But since it's AI tonight, then we'll just let them do their normal in and out. There will be JTACs on the ground, so if we decide on the way back we have a little bit of guns we want to do, we can go in there and spray it out, or we have some bombs left, whatever. Okay, so that's the Harrier group, and then we can add as much as we want. So we don't have to. We have AI to work with as well, to do screens and do all sorts of different things. So if we decided we wanted to go hit this boat, we could hit them hard with AI over here, but be aware that they will lose our aircraft. So that's something we have to think about, and remember that we'll have to pay to replace them at the end of the round. So then we want another group, and we're going to come up here and let's start looking around at some targets. That is silkworms. Those are, a danger to our ship. Might be worth taking those out. Let's see. There's some oil. We don't want to just scud. So there's a scud outside of their protection range. So let's send some Harriers in there. Actually, let's send some F-18s in there. We can determine whether they're going to be a player or later. Okay, so these don't have to worry. So now we're going to go right-click. We're going to add. We're going to take 2 Harriers. Actually, let's take 2 Hornets in there. We're going to make it a strike group. You've got strike, escort, seed, fighter sweep, that kind of stuff. So we're going to strike, and we're going to call this dog. And we're going to leave it non-playered for right now. These guys are going to get on station in 20 minutes. We'll just leave it all as soon as possible for now. What we can do later on, though, is we can take this off. We could set the timing. So, for example, that's good for these guys. Okay. For example, let's find it. So it's a M13. It's a workshop. It's a hangar. It's an M13, BT-80, EWR. So here's the EWR. We're going to strike that, and a SAM site. Okay, so this is so these are SA-11s. What we probably want to do is seed this out, take out the radar. Now, what we could do, since I'm playing with myself, I'm just going to seed and take it out. I won't worry about it too much. But what we can do is you can do things like, so we're gonna do a seed mission on here to take out their long-range radar, and we're gonna add a flight, and we're gonna take a single Hornet because that's what I'm gonna do. So it's probably the safest for the moment. And I'm just going to leave an AI wingman for myself, and we're going to call this Fist. and we're going to hit that target, time over target. Now really, time over target, we're not going to be, we're going to be long, shooting long, so we're going to say there 32 minutes instead of 33 minutes. We don't want a, oops, I did that wrong. Add flight. We're going to add a Hornet. We're going to take it from the other squadron. We're going to call player 1, and we want a seed escort. It's fine. Fist. Payload is... Okay, yeah, we definitely want a seed escort, so let's delete, add. We're going to make that seed. Make one player. Now we have a wingman. Fist, create, save, and we're going to probably, let's see, 10 kilometers. So that's 10, 20. Well, that's going to be 20 miles there. So 10, 20, 30. Somewhere around there is going to be our delivery point. And as long as it's outside that radar, we're fine. So then we're going to do another group. Let's hit this guy hard. So what we're going to do is we're going to send, add a flight. We're going to send a strike, a seed group, Hornets. We're going to send a division. Now this is normally probably what we would do as a group, but I don't want to do that tonight. So assign, we're going to go ahead and hit it with a division. And we're going to call this Snake Squadron. Actually, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Doesn't really matter. That's going to be all AI. Okay, and they're going to strike that. Now they're at 23, so what I want to do though is I want to check their time a little bit here. They're going to hit lobster. I want 24 minutes. Well, I wouldn't have even taken out the EWR yet. So what we definitely want to do is take out the EWR first. So we're going to make these guys have a time on target of, we're going to call it 40 minutes. Okay. And we're going to add a second group in a different one. Edit. Oh, we're going to hit that same target. Add. We're going to do a seed strike first with a division of F-18s. I call it Scorpio. Okay, and we're going to want to have that hit roughly the same time we're hitting the EWR. So let's make it 30. They're going at 40, so we're going to make them hit that at 37. Actually 38. Why 38? So trying to create a dance here between the seeds hitting at 38, which hopefully they will take out as much of the radar as possible and get out of there, and then the strike group will be in right behind it to smash the crap out of whatever's left. So that's the thought anyway. Okay. Now normally we'd probably want to plot out at least a lot more air cover. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just add can add we're going to add another F14 cap to keep us safe. We're going to do a target acquisition cap, and we're going to make it F14s, and we're going to use a full division, and we're going to call it striker. We're going to call it, actually, we're going to call it screen. Get it up in the air as soon as possible, and we're going to put it running here to there. Just kind of keep us protected. Okay, so once you got all that done and you've got all your people selected, then what you're going to do is you're going to take off. So obviously, depending on how many players we can have people going all to the same spot to really just hammer an area, or we can spread things out, taking care of scuds and silkworms and multiple sites to start softening the airspace to get control of the airspace, so we can push our airspace control up, so we can move the carrier group up, and then this line will start moving up as we control the airspace. So because then we can just start sending cast groups in to support the front line and move it forward. So we'll call that good for now. So we say take off. So now what that does, actually before we do that, we can save this, and we're going to call it test 1. Save. Okay, now we're going to take off. What that does is now it's generated a file for us, okay, and we can go into the game to do that. So let me just make sure I'm all set up to play, and it'll just take a second. I will probably pause the video here as soon as there it is. I will make a pause, and we will be right back when I get to selecting the mission and all that. So right now I'm just going to launch DCS, so they're not going to miss a whole lot. So I'm going to pause. All right, I'm back. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch the mission. Now what's happening is in the background, this is running in the background, and it's listening. It's wanting to know if the mission's been completed or not. Now, normally what I do is I'm going to run this on, most likely we'll run this on the Pacific Northwest server because it's here with me. I can log in locally to the box, get it set up, and turn on SRS and a few of the other things. We might lose some of the tracking. I don't know. I'm not sure how it's going to interact with our server, but I think I can configure the locations in the settings of this, which I can't look at right now, but in the settings to point to specific directories. And in doing so, it'll look through the server's mission folder for the results, and then and update. So I think that'll work. I haven't tested it yet. Frosty's going to help me do some testing. Of course, anybody's welcome to join us, and we'll test that out real quick. Now, one of the things I think we can do is, since we can get the server to pause on a regular basis, if we plan these missions out right, we can plan out specific missions for specific teams. So for example, Frosty can get together with his guys and say, hey, what days are you available? Okay, I'm on Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, these times, perfect. And then same with each of the captains, myself and Moose Trapper can designate what days are best for our pilots. And if they overlap, great, we'll do the mission on the same day. If they don't, we'll come up with missions that are solo-based missions. F-14s can take a couple F-14s for cap and a couple F-14s for strike and go hit a target. Same thing with each of our groups. Set up the days that those are going to happen, and then organize them in order, leaving them up on the server so that, hey, this is the first day, it's going to be the Harriers, and the first day they're going to go in. So it's the first 10, 15 minutes or first 30, 40 minutes of flight. And same old. The issue with all of this is that the enemy's not going to wait for that to happen. So, as the Harriers are trying to do their thing, if they don't have cap, they're going to be in trouble. So, um, potentially. So we'll see how that goes. They may need to coerce a few F-18 pilots or somebody to come in and give them air cover for their mission. We can work out logistics like that, but we need to find a way to have these missions dynamic enough that people can go in and do them when they need to do them. I love the way Trapper did it. Unfortunately, this does everything for you, but it makes it harder to create safe, reasonably safe. They get outnumbered very quickly by aircraft, so or could. So we'll have to play around with it a little bit, but so far it's looking pretty good. Or we just have to have mission nights, and people that can make it, and people can't. I don't like that option as much. Or we can run in the mission in smaller groups, meaning each planning, advance the turns each time a group goes up, but we can talk about that later. So anyway, it's how to do this. So it used to have to open the file in editor, in the editor first to do that, to edit it. In order for it to work. You don't have to do that anymore. So we're just going to open straight into it. And then we're going to go create a new server and Liberation Persian Gulf, VUSN test, right? Up to 8 players. We can always up that, right? This is my personal box. We're going to click start. So now as the mission starts, you'll see that the screen is now changed. And it talks about the various things destroyed. And you can always abort to restart the mission if things get out of hand. We can restart it, and it won't sync. But you can also do a manual submission, but that's a whole nother ball game. As you can see, it's advanced users, but we don't want to do that, so let's just let it do its thing. I'm going to go back to DCS. Now you can see that the only slots available right now is the F-18 player slot and then the tactical commander for ground units. We can go look at that once my part of the mission's done. We can go see what's available on the front lines and go play around with that a little bit. But for now, let me get in my aircraft, and we're going to go to the briefing. Now you can see this is the enemy's airfield. He's got a lot of aircraft and a lot of scary aircraft. So anyway, so the briefing's going to tell you what our job is, right? We're doing a seed escort. We're taking off from the Truman at this time. We're going to depart. I may take off early, but we'll see. We're going to depart and hold and wait for our push time, and then we're going to rendezvous with our ingress, egress, all that kind of stuff, and then we're going to land, and there's our bullseye. Okay, is waypoint 8. So it presets all that stuff for us, which is really cool. That way, it's all built into our. It's all the waypoints are already set that we set in that mission planning, which is very handy. Here's the information on the Truman and the planes that are coming off of it, the carrier, and you can see it's 75. So the radios, our TACAN is 1. We can change that by going into the editor ahead of time. Radios 225, 1 and 1. The TARWA is 22.6, 2 and 2. Overlord is 227. JTAC is F10 menu. Front lines, FOB is laser code is 1688. Okay, shows you the known threats. We can also, in the settings, I forgot to show back in, and I'll show it when we're done here, is in the settings you can actually go and turn on fog of war and all that. But I wanted to show you in the F10 menu what it actually puts together. So for now, but during an actual mission, we can put Fog of War on, which will prevent us from seeing any of the enemy units. So let's go ahead and fly our mission. It's going to take me close to 10 minutes probably to get everything set up on the jet. Okay, now we are on deck, and what's cool, look at this. We got planes everywhere. So let's take a F2. It's a full deck. You can see those 4 F-14s getting ready to take off. Now this is where we may need to go into the mission and put the AWACS and the refueler, because right now they're blocked. So we'll see how it put together the mission takeoffs and make sure everybody's in the right go. So right now we're paused. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause. And it's going to lag out a little bit here for a second because it's got to, calculate everybody's stuff. All right, so you can see this F-14. Hopefully he doesn't spread his wings next to me. Everybody's getting ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and power up. I'm just going to do an auto start so I can talk. And I'm just going to cycle around while we're waiting for my jet to start up. There's my wingmans right next to me. You can see they're all powering up their engines. So he's going to, now that's the other thing we have to consider, is the AI is going to put all of their birds up in the air, to try to counter us. And so normally we're going to want to plan our AI and just make sure we're protecting our airspace long enough for us to complete our missions. They've got things that can attack our boat, interceptors. They've got the F-14s as well. They're F-14As, but they can do damage. So they got some good planes around that we're gonna have to pay attention to. But they are definitely all starting up, which means they've all got missions. They're all going to attack front lines. So there's always stuff to do. You can see everybody's powering up. These guys are going to have to kind of sit on deck, unfortunately, until things get out of their way. So I'm going to pause until things start moving a bit. And now you see we got F-14 getting ready. That's probably the first cap group is moving into launch. Okay.
Flight controls. Flight controls.
That's that first cap group. That's probably the one protecting the boat. Now the 2 F-14s are the other cap group is also moving. So that's probably wingmans 3 and 4. Nice busy deck, so it creates some atmosphere and for things for people to pay attention to. Now the interesting thing is if we set various timings, and it tries to put the player people on deck first, but with timings there's going to be delayed launches for people potentially, so we do have to be mindful of that as well. There's only 16 slots on the deck, so we can send a lot of the AI out after us. This is kind of what I wanted. I wanted to see all those F-14s get off deck. Okay, well, as we're getting some more room on deck here, let's take a look at what's going on the map. So you got the front line here. See, we got a pretty good extra set of, those are just broken things, but we've got some pretty good control over our front line here. There's a drone flying overhead for laser. Doesn't look like they have a lot of ground units, so that's good. Good for us. Our CAS group should take a lot of those out. But you can see all of that stuff is there. And then you can see all the fighters up here getting ready to take off. Now, fortunately, they're pretty far away, so they got to burn some fuel to get to us. You already got some flights taken off up here. We'll see what they end up doing, but they've all got mission plans, and I'm sure they're going to come down here, some of them anyway, and cause us some problems. So there goes the Harriers. Okay, so let's go see them. I'm pretty much ready to go. Pretty tight in with this F-14, although I can probably get out of there. Once these guys take off. So let's go take a look at find our Harriers. But realistically, it takes the AI a ways to get up in the air, so that's also helpful to us as well. Got some bombers there. Okay, Harriers heading in there. Be cool to watch them go. Okay, so let's do my FCS check. And I'm going to get set up here. I'm going to pause, and then I'll kick on when I'm ready to roll. Okay, we are ready to taxi. We are ready to taxi here, and we're going to go make sure I got the right weapons. Yep, okay, good. Looks like we're good to go. Got, wait, what has it got me loaded up with here? A couple AC-120s and a couple of harms, looks like. And fuel. Yeah, I'm okay with that. We're not going to get too combat-y today anyway, so let's get taxi in. Let's get the ground crew. Refuel. Nope. Don't care about my skin right now. And so we want ground crew. And we're gonna retox and remove.
Chief, remove the wheel chop.
Oh, looks like our
Copy.
AWAC, our overlord's
Wheel
getting
chocks
up
are now
soon.
removed.
So I'm gonna take Cat 3, go the other way. And I'm going to break all sorts of protocols leaving the boat just because I want to get up in the air. So let's go ahead and... so we'll go ahead and I'm going to line up on Cat 3 here. Let's see where this guy's going.
Flight controls.
All right, little wife hiccup there. We'll go ahead and... rudder puddles need to be adjusted. See what's going on. Yeah, the AV-8s are tearing up the battlefield there. Extend my launch bar. My partner's there. Right. We're going to take off to the left. We're going to go in tension. We're going to hit my communicator. And we're going to go to the ground crew and hit salute. Salute. And let's go. And there's the tanker. And let's go to SA. And let's go to waypoint 1, waypoint 2. And let's get our autopilot once we hit 350. Somewhere in there. And then we'll I'm not sure why I've got an alarm going off. Sounds like an altitude alarm, but wings are locked. I don't. Huh. Things locked. My gears up. I'm not sure what is going on there with that alarm. Okay, so just a radar just a radar. It's just a bug in the game. If you have that, go down and set your altimeter all the way to 0, and then reset your ground radar to whatever it is you want. In my case, I like to set it to about 500 for combat, and when I return, I'll knock it down to 370. All right, so now we're heading towards waypoint 1. Let's get our SA set back up. Data link. Let's take a look at our waypoints here. Let's head to waypoint 2, which is our hold point. Let's take a peek on what's out in the air up there. Let's go ahead and arm. And
Contact bearing 328.100. 2. Contact bearing 327.100. 11 o'clock. 9 o'clock. 2, mud spike, 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 9 o'clock. 2, contact bearing 322.80. Spikes, 11 o'clock. 2, spikes, 11 o'clock. 2, spikes, 11 o'clock. 2, mud spike, 6 o'clock. 2, mud spike, 6 o'clock. 2, mud spike, 4 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 o'clock. Spikes, 5 o'clock.
So you can see the ground war going on there. You got all the fires and stuff. I don't want to get too low. So there are man pads, so I don't want to get below 10. But yeah, you can see the battle going on down there. And we are going to RTB. So flight, formation.
Flight, go trail. 2, affirm.
Oh, we're just
2,
going to
mud spike, 6 o'clock. 2, mud spike, 6 o'clock. 2, mud spike, 6 o'clock.
well, let's run a cap here.
2, mud spike, 6 o'clock. 2, mud spike, 6 o'clock. 2,
So that's the
6 o'clock.
annoying AI thing there. So we got a target there. He's at 40 miles. We got a few targets there. Let's line them up. I'm going to go ahead and let's narrow that down. Turn our scan rate just a...
2, 490. 2, contact bearing 322, 490. 2, contact bearing 317, 490. 2, contact bearing 316, 490. 2, contact bearing 306, 470. 2, contact bearing 305, 470. 2, missile launch, 12 o'clock.
Altitude.
2, engage defensive. 2, mud spike, 12 o'clock. 2, mud spike, 12 o'clock. 2, Altitude. Altitude.
Oh, he's gone. All right, let's get the hell out of here because I got one missile left. And I think my wingman's down. But this kind of shows you how it works. Obviously, feel free to fast forward through a lot of this. Oh, he's back there still, but he's going the other way too. So I think I'm just going to disengage. And head back to the boat. I got plenty of fuel, so I'm going to get low and I'm going to get silent. The problem with using AI, though, is they end up losing a lot of planes because, you know, I think there's a way to up the AI, but then it ups it for everybody. So it's kind of like have really good AI or not. But I can't remember if we can do it per side. So if we can do it per side, we can give our guys a little bit of an edge kind of thing. Yeah, it's not really sure. We're going to scream back to the boat because I only got one missile left. So, in fact, yep. Now, if there's a few more of us out here, I think we could, you know, our cap guys would take those, our F-14s would take those guys out pretty quick, I think. Comparatively, so. So I am going to pause it until I go back and land, and then kind of see most of our guys are taken care of. So they're going to come in, but we've got cap up here and ships. So those last three planes or four planes, they aren't going to do much to us. So yeah, I'm going to head back to the boat, and I'll unpause before I complete the mission. Okay. Now that I'm back on deck, we mission side see some F-14s there. Other planes would be there. There's a few F-18s still coming around for landing. So now we can go back and check our dynamic DCS. It's tracked a bunch of unit deaths. You can see there's got some. It's been tracking deaths and infantry deaths. And you can see there's frontline units destroyed 7, aircraft destroyed 32. I have a feeling those are a lot of ours, but we'll see. Ground units lost at objective areas 7. Okay, and I think that's, I'm not sure if those are our ground units, so we lost 32 aircraft, it looks like, but I don't think I had that many in the air, so I think that's total 32 aircraft. So once I go, now what's going to happen is I'll go, what you'd have to do is you have to go back to select role. Okay. Eventually this will clear out on its own, so then I think we just leave the server. Then you can accept the results, or if we feel like it was unbalanced, we could replay it. So in this case, we're going to accept the results. It's going through and it's making its adjustments. So it says U.S. losses. We lost 3 Harriers, we lost 8 F-14s, and we lost 5 Hornets. They lost 9 F-14s. They lost 2 Su-24 or 4 Su-24s, 29 Fulcrum, 22, and then some ground units. So, all in all, we did a good job on the ground forces. The airs kind of sucked. So let's see what we can do about that. You can see that, oops, it, you can see that it redid all its new missions based on what we have. See the front line moved up just a hair. Was back here, so we gained some ground. We're a little closer to this area up here. Not too much though, because you could, oh no, we're in the same spot. So never mind. We didn't gain any ground yet. You can see that EWR is gone, so that's going to give us an advantage going into the next round because now they only have the threat range for the the 10 mile or the 20 mile threat range from the Su-11. So we could siege strike that, take that out would probably be my next option, and send maybe a fighter screen up this way to draw their fighters off over here somewhere. But we can't do anything this round really too much. Let's see what we got on our ship. We got 10 Tomcats left and 19 Hornets. So we got plenty to do some more operations. Let's see what the Tarawa has. I always call it the Taloa. It's a Bellawood. We still got 9 Harriers, so we need to order some reinforcements. We got 155 million, so let's get them back up to 2 of those. That gives them, let's get them back to strength. Everything else looks good. And let's go to here. So when we play the next mission, we'll get some aircraft coming in as backup. So we're down, well, we need 5. Oh, we're just out of money. So let's grab, yeah, we're still okay here. So let's grab a couple. Let's reinforce that Tomcat back up to 12. We still got enough to work with the 18s. Now we can either pass the turn to get our ships and not do any strikes, but that means the enemy kind of gets free air reign because we're in control of the air. We can leave these missions in place. We're scheduled to be on this slot. Again, you could play this single player. That ship's moving a little closer. We're going to have to deal with it sometime soon. These guys didn't move at all, so it got a little closer. Definitely have some advantage now that this air-to-air radar is offline. So we're going to hit this. Probably next move would be to hit this, but you can kind of get an idea how it works. If we wanted to reschedule some new attacks, I would probably do some heavy close air support here. Just keep working on their ground units, and then siege strike this out. Get rid of their air-to-air protection, and secondary hit some of these other targets. That way they don't know where we are, but that's how that would work. So, have any questions, let me know, and we'll work out some details. Chef, I'll go ahead and maybe try to meet with you next Monday at 2200 to kind of go over this with you and let you play around with it a little bit. So you can set up, difficulty, player coalition skill. We can make ourselves better. So we can make our players excellent in the enemy average kind of thing, and set the difficulties as we want. We can maximum number of pilots per squadron. We can set all that kind of stuff. Mission generator. We did all that. We can add, there's some different things we can do here, but mainly set the difficulty. We'd probably want to make ours so we don't lose so many of the AI ships, and maybe make the enemy average to high. So AA and vehicle skill average, enemy coalition skill maybe high. But yeah, so we can do that. We can have man pads on the front line, no night missions because there will be. Again, here's the weather. And saw we had pretty good cloud cover the other on that last mission. So, all right, talk to you soon.